Welcome to Gorillapreneur, the Art of Waging Small Business Warfare podcast, teaching Davids how to defeat Goliaths. Now here's your host, Mark Anthony Peterson.
Welcome back to the podcast for entrepreneurs, startups, and business mavericks. If you're not a maverick, you don't have to go home, but you got to get up out of this podcast. In this podcast, we teach entrepreneurs how to defeat the corporate giant. Just like in the story of David and Goliath, David defeated a much taller and stronger Goliath, not by fighting the giant in hand-to-hand combat, but by using technology, a slingshot. The slingshot allowed the smaller David to attack from a distance that minimized the advantages that Goliath had over the smaller David. My name is Mark Anthony Peterson. I'm a serial entrepreneur, a futurist, and the managing executive at Serial Consulting, a leading small business strategy and technology consulting firm. I am also the author of the book Gorillapreneur, Small Business Strategy for Davids Wanting to Defeat Goliaths, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes. This podcast is brought to you by Serial Consulting. An idea can launch a business, and a strategy can take it global. Happy New Year, 2019, and Gorillapreneurs, we're ready to take the fight to the Goliaths. But before we jump into a new year, I want to recap the last event of 2018, the Selma Business Pitch Contest. On December the 8th, 2018, I held the 5th annual Selma Business Pitch Contest and Conference in Selma, Alabama. The theme of the conference was entrepreneurship, robotics, and aviation technology, the keys to revitalizing the Black Belt South. When I talk to you about supporting this show and supporting our efforts, this is where it goes. Into supporting this pitch contest and conference that tries to stimulate entrepreneurship in the Black Belt South. So support us at patreon.com/gorillapreneur. This year's featured speaker at the conference was Mr. Sam Ortega. He's a deputy director at NASA, and he gave us a speech about NASA and inspired everyone to think about space. He told us about the patents and technology that NASA is ready to share with the public that can help stimulate entrepreneurship. We also had a terrific real estate entrepreneurship panel that featured real estate mogul Clyde Richardson. This man owns almost all of Selma, and he built it up from nothing. And he told all his secrets on how he got started with a single house and got to over 100 properties in one lifetime. That panel was also complemented with super broker and super agent Shirley Dawson and Joe Peterson. If you missed it, check it out on our YouTube channel and learn what Mr. Richardson had to teach about building your real estate empire starting with a single property in one lifetime. Of course, I had to get in on the action, and I gave a speech about automation and robots and the Black Belt South. In my speech, I made several points. First, I mentioned a McKinsey study that said 60% of all occupations have at least 30% of activities that can be automated. So all of us are at risk. I also talked about hospitality robots that will eliminate 38% of U.S. jobs in that industry within 15 years. I mentioned that most of Alabama's top industries are vulnerable to automation, including manufacturing, chemical production, automobiles, and retail. I also went through a Goldman Sachs report that mentioned autonomous cars and delivery robots that could eliminate over 300,000 jobs. Retail will be especially hit. Walmart, as many of you may know, employs 1.5 million people, but they plan to launch robots, including those that will clean the floors and stock the shelves, that could eliminate as much as 10% of their workforce. Automation could put as many as half of the nation's 16 million retail jobs at risk over the next decade, which include clerks, cashiers, and other individuals that clean and maintain stores, according to a study by Cornerstone Capital Group. What was my solution? The Black Belt South, like any other community, has to get out ahead of this curve and start investing in entrepreneurship engines that can create the jobs of the future. Silicon Valley went through that process, and now that engine produces 225,000 jobs annually because of the companies that have decided to plant their businesses near that engine. The Black Belt South needs to take up that philosophy if it expects to survive. The pitch contest brought together some very strong entrepreneurs from all across the Black Belt South, including from Auburn, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Selma, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. Travion Johnson, a high school student at Selma High School and a Gorillapreneur reporter, captured interviews of all the pitch teams that participated in the contest. Let's meet some of the winners. The second place runner-up was J. Renee Hair Company, founded by Natalie Sanders Jones and based in Birmingham, Alabama. Ms. Sanders Jones makes some interesting arguments about the hair care industry. First, she tells you that the hair care industry represents a $13 billion industry. Now, if you want to learn more about that, check out my other podcast, The Mark Peterson Show, Episode 3, entitled Black Millennials and Black Women Are Bringing Wakanda to America. That gives you a lot of details on the spending power of Black America and some industries that, if we were to harness them, could turn business into multi-billion-dollar titans. And that's exactly what Miss Sanders Jones wants to do. She tells you that 6 out of 10 women wear hair extensions and wigs, and that Black women spend $66 more per month than the average consumer on these products. She's going to build an online personalized storefront to target African American women. Let's hear from Miss Sanders Jones.
My name is Travion Johnson, a student ambassador from Selma High. Could you please state your name?
My name is Natalie Sanders Jones with J. Renee Hair Company.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm established in Birmingham, Alabama. We established our company in 2017. We were featured on 3340 Wedding Week, and we also was featured in a couple of magazines. We're also a sponsor of the Birmingham Surge ABA basketball team. Yes, and we are a luxury hair extension company where you do not have to pay luxury costs.
Okay, could you tell us where you went to school?
Yes, I went to UAB, University of Alabama in Birmingham. I majored in health education, and I currently work at the Birmingham VA Medical Center as my full-time job, but my passion is my hair company.
Okay, could you tell us about your vision for the future of your company?
Yes, in the next 5 years, I do plan to make over $1 million industry. I plan to be $1 million industry. I plan to also, right now we're business to customer, but I do plan to be business to business and work with celebrity stylists where they will use my product, and also to be nationally and internationally known.
Okay, could you tell us about your interaction with customers?
Yes, actually we treat our customers with VIP access. We tend to we prefer one-on-one access from start to finish, from any questions you have, just about a consultation, all the way up to getting the product put into your hair. You are the main concept at the time.
Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Now let's hear from the first runner-up at the Selma Business Pitch Contest. Mr. Brian Hobbs, based in Atlanta, Georgia, pitched his business, Cyber Clipboard. His primary thesis is that we spend too much money duplicating background checks, and he wants to solve that problem by building a blockchain infrastructure to store that data. Let's hear from Mr. Brian Hobbs.
Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Brian Hobbs.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am originally from Selma, Alabama. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a civil engineer. I currently work for MARTA. I oversee their long-range planning department.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a graduate from the University of Alabama. And I have a degree in civil engineering and a minor in computer application technology.
Okay. Could you tell us about the pitch that you presented today?
Yeah, so today we pitched on our business. So the name of the business is Cyber Clipboard. Cyber Clipboard is the most efficient way to verify credentials. Mm-hmm. So essentially what we're doing, we are going to make a permanent system where your credentials are verified and you never have to do that again. Essentially we're going to be a LinkedIn and Dun & Bradstreet merger, essentially.
Okay, so when looking for customers, who are your top choices?
So right now, when looking for customers, we're going after education first. Mm-hmm. That's our first market segment. Then we'll look to go into healthcare. And eventually, we want to be everywhere. We want to be in all industries because this is a HR tools, and all industries need HR.
So could you tell us about the process that happens?
Yeah, so essentially what happened is a customer or a company will sign up with us. Essentially anybody that they want to hire, they'll send to us. They'll basically sign up either through LinkedIn or they'll manually fill out a form with it. Once that information is filled out, an email is automatically sent to former employees and former certification boards, PDU boards, and they verify that information and immediately gets sent back to us into the system. Once it hits our system, it's committed to blockchain. Once it's committed to blockchain, it can't be changed.
Okay. So what are your future goals for your company?
So future goals right now for the company is get our beta tests ongoing. After we start our beta tests, we want to actually go to market. We want to actually launch. And our future is really we want to get as big as we can, as quickly as we can. We want to be the first out the door, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now let's meet the winners of the 2008 Selma Business Pitch Contest. Miss Olivia Cook and Miss Courtney Hahn, PhD students from Auburn University, were pitching their startup, Snippety Snap, which makes taking a selfie really simple. They start with the premise that 1.3 trillion selfies are taken each year, and the market for selfie sticks is roughly $6 to $10 million. They look at the 95 million photos that are uploaded to Instagram every year, and they want to make that process simpler. They've built a selfie stand that can make taking a selfie at all the places where you want to travel very simple. Place your phone on the stand, control the phone with your app, and take the perfect selfie and post it onto your social media accounts. Let's hear from the two PhD students, Miss Olivia Cook and Miss Courtney Hahn.
Could you please tell me your names?
My name is Olivia Cook. And my name is Courtney Hahn.
Okay, so what can you tell the people a little bit about yourselves?
So I am born and raised in Auburn, Alabama. I have a bachelor's degree in polymer and fiber engineering along with a minor in Spanish. I have a master's degree in public administration, and I am now a third-year PhD student in public administration and public policy, all degrees from Auburn University.
So my background, I have a bachelor's of science in public health, healthcare administration, and then a master's in public health with a healthcare administration focus from East Tennessee State University. Now I'm a third-year PhD student in the...
Ms. Cook and Ms. Hahn's interview got cut off, but what they went on to say was that they project their business to achieve $4 million in revenue just 3 years in. They've already sold 6 of their stands, and they're partnered with the Tiger Cage, University of Auburn, and several other venues that have their stands placed out front with hundreds of selfies already being taken using their platform. We really appreciated having all the teams that came to pitch and participate in the competition, and those who also came and participated in the conference, like Mr. Sam Ortega. The 2019 Selma Business Pitch Contest will be held on November the 30th, 2019 at the Selma High School Auditorium. It's going to be even bigger and better in 2019. In 2019, we're going to feature a robotics contest, in addition to the business pitch contest. Participants in the robotics contest will be required to build a rover that can land on Mars and cross a desert terrain. We had a terrific time this year, and we could use your support. Please help us by going to patreon.com/gorillapreneur and support the Selma Business Pitch Contest and everything else that the Gorillapreneur movement is all about. including trying to launch a fab lab in the Black Belt South. Also, I'd love for you to sign up for my newsletter at Ceyero.com, Ceyero.com. Again, thank you to everyone who attended the 5th annual Selma Business Pitch Contest. Thanks to Mr. Travion Johnson for interviewing the pitch teams. Thank you to Mr. Sam Ortega, a deputy director at NASA, for coming down and being our keynote speaker. If you want to see video of any of these interviews, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Ceyero Consulting. And please remember all the changes that we've made to the podcast for this year. In 2019, Gorillapreneur will spend more one-on-one time with the actual entrepreneurs and educators to help you grow and build your business. Gorillapreneur News has changed into Gigging News, gigging everything in the sharing economy. That's the name of my other podcast, and if you want to get your feel of sharing and gig economy news, please sign up for that podcast, Gigging Everything in the Sharing Economy. You'll find it on Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and any other major podcast platform provider. And if you just happen to be in corporate America and you don't want to take on the corporate giants, sign up for my podcast, Career Coaching X's and O's. Again, you can find it on all the major podcast platforms. Gorillapreneurs. Scott Sullivan said it best in episode 7. Be a mace. Sharpen those spikes, and remember, if you're not breaking something, your company might be the next thing that gets broken.
Thank you for listening to the Gorillapreneur, the Art of Waging Small Business Warfare podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, you may also enjoy the book Gorillapreneur, Small Business Strategy for Davids Wanting to Defeat Goliaths, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes. Follow Mark Peterson on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Gorillapreneur. Now I want to close with a quote from the great Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first, then seek to win. Keep fighting, Gorillapreneurs.